IsReal News. These are the morning headlines for Tuesday, March 31st. President Donald Trump says he has not backed away from forcing the Strait of Hormuz back open, even as reports point to growing tensions with some U.S. allies over military support for Israel. In central Israel, a fresh wave of Iranian fire sends sirens across the region. Impacts are reported in Bnei Brak, Givat Shmuel, Petah Tikva, and Tel Aviv. 10 people are lightly hurt. In the north, a 56-year-old worker is wounded by shrapnel from a rocket in Moshav Avivam. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says the coming days will be decisive. He says Iran is firing fewer missiles than before, but warns that if Tehran does not sign a deal, the United States will intensify its campaign. He says American forces are ready to continue and to do so with greater force. A separate report says France blocked American aircraft carrying military supplies to Israel from flying over its territory. After Trump raised the issue publicly, Reuters reports that 3 sources familiar with the matter confirmed it. Trump is also lashing out at European countries more broadly, saying the United States will no longer help them if they fail to act on their own. In Israel, officials now estimate Iran has between 300 and 400 ballistic missiles left. According to a security briefing, weather conditions are making it harder for the Israeli Air Force to hunt launchers, while many of the remaining missiles are believed to be stored in heavily protected missile sites. Israeli officials say they believe the chances of reaching an agreement with Iran are low. Their assessment is that Trump is still moving toward decisive action in the Strait of Hormuz, calling it what one official describes as the closing act of the war. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu tells ministers that more blows to Iran's energy capabilities are badly shaking the regime. He says Israel is continuing to strike national infrastructure, nuclear infrastructure, missile sites, and factories. He also says Iran must be stripped of what he calls its control switch over the Strait of Hormuz, and argues that after the war, alternative oil and gas routes from Saudi Arabia to the Mediterranean should be pursued. Israel's military says the Air Force has completed another wave of strikes on Iranian weapons production sites in Tehran. Among the targets, according to the military, are a facility used to cast and fill ballistic missile warheads with explosives, a research and development complex for advanced weapons components, and a production site for anti-tank and other missile parts. Defense officials say that by tomorrow, Israel may complete strikes on all necessary and vital targets tied to Iran's military industries. They say those attacks would cover roughly 60 to 70% of all military industry targets and could set Iran back by years. Officials add that military planning for the next phase is already underway, with enough targets remaining for weeks of continued operations. In Lebanon, Defense Minister Israel Katz says the Israeli military will maintain security control in southern Lebanon up to the Litani River. He says villages near the border will be destroyed and says enforcement will follow the same model used in Syria and Gaza. There are also signs of growing friction across the region. Iran confirms that a desalination facility on Shechem Island, struck earlier in the war, is now completely out of service and cannot be repaired soon. And an Italian newspaper reports that Italy barred the United States from using a major base in Sicily after Washington failed to give advance notice about flights connected to operations in Iran. A senior Iranian commander is also sending a message to the Houthis in Yemen, saying Iran remains firm and will achieve its goal of removing the shadow of war from the region. And in Lebanon, an officer and 3 soldiers from the Nahal Brigade Reconnaissance Unit are killed in a clash with Hezbollah fighters near the village of Beit Lif. 3 other soldiers are wounded. Stock futures are rising after a new report gives investors hope that the war between the United States and Iran could soon come to an end. Those are the latest headlines from IsReal News.